Hi, and welcome back to the final lesson in the Making a Balanced Budget course. And this is how we're going to make sure you stick to your budget. So you've already looked at your income, your current spending, you know why you need to save first, you made the budget in the last lesson. Now we're going to make it stick so that you are able to keep to your budget each month. So first, the main thing to look at is how your money flows through your accounts. So it seems complicated, but it really isn't. You get your paycheck. That's day zero, whether that's every month or twice a month. Immediately, you have company benefits and other taxes taken off. So company benefits could be health, dental, but they could also be contributions to your retirement account or stock options. These you want to set up early. So these are happening after you get paid, obviously, but before you ever see your paycheck. So the company takes those off. Now, if you're self-employed, this is going to look a little different, but you should manufacture this to yourself. So you're putting money away for your taxes first, and you're putting the equivalent of company benefits, or putting away money for your health and other expenses. Then you'll get your paycheck. So that's what you'll see in your checking account. Now, you need to add in extra pieces here. You need to put it in your own structure to make sure you stick to your budget. So you have the spending. You need to keep that in an accessible account. An emergency fund. So you want to contribute to that each paycheck. And I would put that in a separate account because many people will get confused and pay, just start using that money. You then want short-term savings. Again, I like to keep that separate because I like to make sure I have money set aside for trips and other things that I don't spend just in my day-to-day spending. And then long-term savings. So putting money immediately into another account. So I put money into my TFSA immediately and into long-term savings as the day after I get paid, so that I never think, oh, I have enough money to buy that extra thing or spend a little more. The emergency fund, the short-term savings, and the long-term savings are immediately out of your everyday use. So that's how I manage my money, and that's why I think a disciplined cash flow should be set out. You don't have excess money sitting in your checking account. Let's think a little bit more about what those savings look like. So the first thing is company benefits, and that's hopefully something that's taken off before you get your paycheck. And these are incentives for you to save. The company will often match some money or contribute if you contribute. So it requires you to save immediately, but you get the benefit of company matched money. Now this is free money. This is money you wouldn't get if you didn't save, so you're being rewarded for doing something good. You want to maximize anything your company is willing to save for you. The second piece of really important savings is your personal savings. So making sure as soon as you get your paycheck, you put money away. That makes saving your priority, and it makes sure that what you really want, which is saving for your retirement or saving for the future, that's your first priority. So it goes into a separate account that's hard to access as soon as you get your paycheck. Then we want to set up money for those large unexpected expenses. So that's your emergency fund. So immediately after you get paid, we want to set money aside for your emergency fund, and ideally in a more difficult to access account. So maybe an online savings account that's not tied to your checking account. And your emergency fund is for those unexpected needs. So health emergency, a car or home emergency, something that you couldn't have seen coming. We also want to set money aside immediately. Remember, we had that 10% buffer that also included short-term savings. So this would be anything that you wouldn't spend every month, but it is something you want and you're willing to put money aside for it. And I would set a specific goal for this money. Mine is typically a travel fund, and so I'll set money aside for that each month, and I keep that in a separate savings account for my emergency fund, but similar idea, where it is a savings account that is difficult to access. It's not connected to my checking account, so it would take a couple days for the money to move back to my checking account if I ever needed it. So it's just sort of an incentive not to use it. And then you have the rest of the money to spend guilt-free. So the money left in your checking account is how much you would end up spending, and part of that is required expenses, where you know you need the money for your rent, for your utilities, for groceries, for your car, and then you also have fun money. So all those discretionary expenses, that money would stay in your checking account as well. And that's money where you enjoy spending it, and now that you've set aside money for your savings, you don't need to worry about spending it. So you have money there for treats or rewards or fun money to spend with friends, and you know that it's in your checking account to be spent, so you don't need to worry about it. You just spend it, which makes that a lot more fun because there isn't any guilt, wondering if you should or shouldn't spend. So now I want to help you protect your budget from yourself, because you put all this effort into making a budget. If you don't stick to it, there wasn't much point. So there's a few different ways you can safeguard your budget, and I would pick a couple. I wouldn't do all of them because everyone is motivated differently. So figure out what works for you and do a couple. So first, you can track your expenses. And I'll go through each of these in more detail. You could only use cash. You could use the cash envelope system. You could set up a separate checking account just for just for spending. You could leave your credit cards at home. Delete your credit card information from all your websites so you're not tempted to spend. The first thing we're going to look at is weekly expense tracking. This is very similar to what you did when you looked at everything you spent over the last 3 months, but it's tracking everything you spend. You do it weekly to make sure that you're staying on track and you have time to modify before the end of the month. Even more often than weekly is probably better. I would use Excel because it's by far the easiest. You can download documents in a CSV file, so it's an Excel file, and then it's all there. You don't need to retype anything, you just categorize. And it gives you complete visibility into how you spend your money. You know what's coming, and you know what you spent your money on, so you know at the end of the month where you'll end up. Now, this is a really easy way of doing it because it doesn't require any change of behavior except for a weekly review. It lets you know what you're spending your money on. It lets you adapt. The only challenge with this one is that you find out after you spent your money. So you can way overspend, and there isn't really a check and balance. You're reviewing it after. So if you're prone to overspending, this probably isn't your best bet. But if you're pretty good and you just need a little more focus, this might be a great option for you. The next one is using cash or the cash envelope system. So with this, you take out the exact amount of cash you need each week. You spend only cash. You don't use your debit or credit card, so you just have the cash you've taken out. And if you want to use the envelope method, you put the cash into envelopes based on the items you spend on. So you'd put in an envelope for gas money, an envelope for groceries, an envelope for eating out, so that you have further stratification if that's what you want. And it forces you to spend within your means, because if you're only using cash, you have a max you can spend. So this method is great if you're prone to overspending. If you stop on the way home and you find that you spent twice as much on groceries than you planned, and end up with things you didn't need. So this stops you from doing that because it puts limits on you. But it requires a lot of self-discipline. It's really hard to be in the grocery store line, realize you have too much in your cart, and put some back. So it depends on if that's something you're willing to do, and if you really struggle with overspending, it might be worth the pain of doing that. But definitely something to consider. Another option is to have a separate checking account. And this is one of my favorites. What you do is you create a separate checking account for your weekly spending, and you transfer only the amount that you would use for that week. During the week, you only use your debit card. You don't have a credit card that gives you extra money. It's just that single debit card. And it forces you to stay within your budget because you've only put in your weekly budget into that checking account. Now, this is really good if it's kind of similar to the cash envelope system, but that you don't want to carry cash around. So you still want to have it in your debit account. This also really helps if you like to know how much you have left. So you can just check your debit card balance and you know if you have enough money to buy something you want during the week. I also recommend doing it by week to start so that you don't end up completely out of money the first week into your whole month. So I'd separate it into a week so that you have a little more control. Another option, and I would do this in addition to the other ones, is to leave your credit cards at home. So a lot of times we overspend because it seems easy to put something on your credit card, and then that way you have a cushion that you don't necessarily need. So what you do is take only the amount you have budgeted and leave all your credit cards at home. It prevents you from overspending, so you either use your cash or your debit card method, so you only have that, and there's no safety net of your credit card. The real benefit is that you don't overspend and you aren't surprised at the end of the month. And as I said, I really suggest doing this with other methods because it removes your opportunity to fail. If you run out of cash using the cash envelope system, you can just pull out your credit card. The idea is that you leave your credit card at home, so you can't. You have to make those tough choices in the moment. Now, this is really good if you're prone to overspending and if you aren't able to stick to a budget when you make one for yourself. So if you've tried budgeting in the past and you're not able to do it, this might be a good option. It's also a good option if at the end of each month when you get your credit card statement, you're always surprised. This might be another good option to remove that surprise because you aren't using your credit cards. And to the end of the whole course and this lesson, you have your monthly budget and you know how you spend your money now. So it makes you more aware when you're going to spend your money. You have regular savings, and because you're saving for your future, you can spend your fun money or those discretionary funds guilt-free. When you know you're saving for your future, the rest of your money becomes a lot more fun and a lot less stress. So I hope that now that you have your budget, you can feel that way too. Now that you've done the course, you have a lot to do on your own, but there's lots of support available for you if you still need it. So first, rewatch the videos and complete each step. So if you missed something, go back and do it along with the video. If you want more ideas, like more ideas how to save more money or how to invest that money that you saved it, head over to my blog. There's lots of ideas there that will help you continue learning. If you want kind of more hands-on support, you like the ideas here, but you need a little more help to get it done, join an accountability group. So I have a few accountability groups, and I'll pair you with people who are in a similar situation, and you guys can be accountable to each other. So it just gives you a little more of an incentive to save and stick to your budget. And finally, if you really want to do all this and you watch the courses, you think that's definitely for you, but you know you're not going to do it, apply for individual accountability coaching. So this is coaching to help you set your goals and then set them up so that you have help and support in actually doing it and making sure that you do prioritize your future. So there's lots of options for more support, and if you don't think you're going to be able to do this on your own, definitely reach out. It's worth the time and money investment. So thank you for making it into the course. I hope this has been an investment of your time into your future. Please contact me if you need anything else, and I hope to see you in the next course.